Welcome into the Sports Objective. Very big night, as obviously we'll got a preview coming up with the Pirates and basketball, the hardwood. We'll see if the Pirates can go 5-0. We'll be talking to the coach of UNF of North Florida. Big game tomorrow, actually on Thursday rather, at 5 p.m. Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum. But first, guys, we got a big announcement that you heard, and we'll have Coach Rickey Bustle talking about the Shane Beamer going to Columbia, going to the Gamecocks of South Carolina. With us right now, Kyle from the Grange Barber, a big fan of the Gamecocks, right?
Not so much, but I'm a big fan of Shane Beamer. You know what's so funny about Coach Beamer getting his first head coaching job at an SEC school in South Carolina? Now, granted, he's been a couple places since back in 2015 when we were looking for a head coach and he wanted our job. And he begged Jeff Comfer for an interview, but Jeffrey Comfer, our former athletic director, didn't think Shane Beamer measured up to the standards and wouldn't even give him an interview. And here we are 5 years later, and he's coaching the SEC. So says a lot about Shane Beamer. Says a lot about Jeff Comfer.
And it says a lot about how low our program got to. And the good news is we have Mike Houston and turning things around, righting the ship. Thank goodness. Another guy that can right the ship any time is Bubba Rosenbaum. What's up, man?
Not a whole lot, guys. Just finished enjoying a little Lexington barbecue and looking forward to talking some football and then East Carolina hoops.
Oh, Lexington barbecue, Bubba. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. I mean, I know you're in that area, but being an East Carolina guy, I don't know if you're
I don't discriminate. You know I love bees, and you know I love any of the Eastern style, but it's okay to like both.
Coach,
if you say so.
That Eastern North Carolina barbecue is tough to beat now. Trust me.
Yes, it is. You know, I do. I say that picking on him eating Lexington style barbecue, but I hate to tell the truth, but I love Memphis style barbecue also. So
yeah. When I was coaching at East Carolina with Ed Emery, every official visit weekend, we had a pig pulled up outside his house. Every weekend. You're talking about 8, 9 weekends in a row. It was always good.
Who cooked your pigs back then?
I believe it was Parker's.
Parker's.
I think it was Parker's barbecue there.
Oh man.
Okay, Parker's. Okay, so y'all weren't doing your own your own pig.
Yeah, we were pig. We were picking. We was picking and eating.
You're politicking on getting those guys, recruiting those guys to East Carolina, but tonight want to celebrate Shane Beamer, coach, and I know you know him very well with obviously your time at Virginia Tech as OC, and I guess you actually got a chance to coach Beamer, Frank Beamer. You got a chance to watch Shane grow up, right?
Yeah, I did. I mean, when I first joined with Frank, that Shane was, and we were talking a little bit earlier before the show, 4th, 5th grade, along in there, and little skinny rascal and all that good stuff like little kids are. But the next thing you know, you turn around some years later, and he's our long snapper. And he came out there and joined the program and worked hard, but it became a heck of a long snapper for us.
And Virginia Tech obviously has a great tradition, Lane Stadium, and what a great home atmosphere, beautiful campus.
Yeah,
Virginia Tech. Thank a lot of Coach Beamer, Frank Beamer, that is, and obviously Shane Beamer. One of the questions I had, I know the guys will talk about the whole situation, but I would imagine one of the things I wanted to ask you tonight, Coach, I would imagine that if your last name is Beamer, that means you're going to have your dad, Frank Beamer, helping you out. And don't you think I would imagine you'll have a great coaching staff?
I think he'll put together a really good staff. Shane's been around some good head coaches. He's been around a lot of coaches. And, you prepare yourself for this day. He's probably had a list of guys when he got his head job that he would call first, just as I did when I became a head coach or anybody else. It takes a few years in the coaching ranks to kind of start that list. And then, but I'm sure he's got, and his agent, I think is Jimmy Sexton or somebody like that. I think that's his name. He's one of the top agents in the country. He's got all kind of guys under him, and I'm sure they'll put together a great staff. But I guarantee you, Coach Beamer's going to be involved.
Coach, Shane's been coaching the last couple of years under Lincoln Riley down at Oklahoma. Obviously, Lincoln is known very well by East Carolina fans from when he was OC here in the Ruffin McNeil. Lincoln's office is terrific. people call it an air raid. It's not truly an air raid like Mike Leach runs, because they do run the ball. But, some rumors are that he wants to bring that kind of offense to South Carolina. And one of the names coming up for his offensive coordinator, who knows, it's all rumor at this point, is actually Lincoln's little brother, Garrett Riley, who's the OC at SMU. What do you think about that style of offense in the SEC? You saw it a little bit this year at Mississippi State with Mike Leach. Granted, like I said, the Lincoln Riley style does run the ball a little more.
Yeah, I think as long as you can, run the football, and that's just, I've always believed that, and you don't need 10 different ways to run the football, but you just need to run it 10 times, during the course of a game. But I think, I've watched Oklahoma play. I think they attack down the field more than Mike does at Mississippi State, because it's hard to get to one of the quarterbacks that Mike Leach is coach, because they get the ball out so quick. And I think Oklahoma, I'm sure they do some of it, but I know they get the ball downfield more. And I'm sure, I think it'll be, because you can get those kind of athletes at South Carolina. And it's just getting the right trigger puller and surrounding him with some players and get started with it.
Another question that comes to mind is, Coach, from your vantage point, how long do you think that, I know every situation is different on a rebuild, or trying to turn things around. How hard is it at South Carolina? Do you think it's something in 2 or 3 years? I know it's hard to say, but is it, in other words, is it a quicker rebuild, or you think it's going to be a lot longer? I know it's not a timeline on how long.
Yeah, and that's hard, because I don't know what's there. I don't know what recruits they have there, what guys, and to build that offense around. And I know that they got good skilled players, and I don't know how many they got. And it'll take a little bit of recruiting to get exactly what he wants in there and make it mesh with what he's got. And, but I think, it's more recruiting years, hopefully, than just playing. But, you're probably right about, 3 or so right there to kind of get everything that he wants in the program.
One thing that could help Coach Beamer, in my opinion, Will Muschamp was there. Following Coach Muschamp, one thing they're going to have is some defensive talent. And
no doubt.
If I was Shane and Coach, obviously you've been a head coach, so you can speak to this. While I'm, I think there'll be some adjustment periods on offense, because they ran a more conservative style offense from what I think Beamer's going to want to run. But hiring a good defensive coordinator could be the smartest thing he could do right now.
Well, I think that's a big deal, because I tell you what, defenses are getting scored on these days. I mean, this is, this offense that we've all kind of gone to, it's scoring points. So it's not the day of pretty much of, keeping, averaging 11, giving up 11 points a game throughout the year and all that. It don't happen much anymore. And so you've got to be good enough to let your offense outscore people sometimes. And as long as you, again, in that type of offense, I think, if you're not giving up more than 21, 23, 4 points a game, you got a chance to win some games.
Oh, no doubt. In this day and age, if you can average giving up 24 points a game, you might go 12-0.
Yeah. I mean, that's these offenses are just scoring so many points on people. And there's some days that everything clicks. And even when things don't go that well, they still, score 28, 29 points or something, 30 points. And I think that the defensive guys now that can get some turnovers for you and try to change the game some, even though they're giving up yardage, because it's not they're going to get yardage. These kind of offenses are going to get yardage. But somewhere along, I used to hear these defensive coaches, especially, Frank Beamer, just keep making that offense snap it. We're going to get one in a minute. And I think the ones that do that the best are the ones that can hold up, can stand up to the type of offense you're running.
What do you think about Coach Beamer getting his first head coaching opportunity in the SEC? I mean, his name came up in the past for other jobs. I mentioned that he wanted the East Carolina job back in 2015. His name came up for the ODU job last year. Didn't get it, and lo and behold, now he's in the SEC as a head coach. I mean, that's a tough way to get your feet wet as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, I think it's an awesome opportunity for him, and you can say what you want, but I mean, Frank Beamer's been a great influence on college football. A name helps you, a great agent helps you. I think he's probably got Jimmy Sexton. I don't know that, but that's who I think coaches was. And he's been in some good football programs. I mean, he started out. I think his first real job was at Mississippi State. I think, and he's been able to be at some good programs, working for great people. But I know this for a fact. No matter how you prepare yourself, and when you think you're ready, there's more crap that goes on once you become the head coach than you ever thought did. And I mean, and I've always I heard before I ever took a head job, and I'd say it to somebody now: if you're not ready to make hard decisions, you don't need to be a head football coach.
Yeah, no doubt.
No question. Speaking of which, hard decisions. Hopefully, we'll see. The director of athletics, Ray Tanner, says that they're coming to Greenville, coach in 21. So we're hoping that Shane Beamer will see him, and that's actually our second game.
Okay.
We'll have at Appalachian State. That'll be at Bank of America Stadium. We're playing at Appalachian. We're playing there.
In Charlotte, it's a neutral field game against App State.
Yeah, and then the second game will be hopefully South Carolina. The last time we had to play Gardner Webb because they pulled out on us and bought us out. So hopefully they'll come to Greenville, and we'll be pulling hard. Obviously, we're shading other games, but that game we're obviously.
I understand that. It's just like when I was at South Carolina, we went over there to play Clemson. After I'd played at Clemson, I knew I done gone in there with the enemy. I had a lot of people wanting me to do well, but they wanted to kill me too. So I understand all that.
Yeah, speaking of Clemson, how one of the things that the guys and I love, Rick Neuheisel, had a great point today, and that is they were not talking about Beamer, but the fact that these kids that are on the West Coast are coming to Alabama, they're coming to Clemson, they're coming to schools like that because they know what I call the made for TV event. Right. Some people call it the college football playoff. I'll call it a playoff whenever they have more than half a dozen teams in it. But anyway, that's a whole nother show. But he was making, but the reason I brought that up is the fact that if you're at South Carolina and you're coaching, and you got that guy named Dabo in Clemson, and he's getting guys. Literally, it's a national school now. How difficult is that? I know you've been on both sides. You're, like you said, you played at Clemson, and you coached at South Carolina. That's got to be that's a tough deal. I mean, you can't be on the fence that one, right? You got to be either a
Well, I wasn't on the fence that day either. I knew who was paying me, so I wasn't on the fence. No, not at all.
Coach, if you're Shane Beamer, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But to me, you can't worry about Clemson. You got to worry about South Carolina. You can't worry about what they're doing and who they're recruiting. You just got to recruit your talent guys to fit your system, and hopefully, if you get the right guys, eventually you'll be able to beat Clemson.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, Kai. If you're recruiting the right guys for your program, and because I mean, South Carolina is an SEC program. I mean, they ought to be able to recruit anybody that Georgia or Alabama can. They may not get them, but they can recruit them. And if they're recruiting the right guys, they're going to have battles from all them people.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's what I've said it before. I think before we started the show, I've never understood why South Carolina, except really under Spurrier and maybe a couple years under Holtz, has just underachieved so much. I mean, they when you look at it, you can't point to why they haven't been more successful.
Well, I lived in South Carolina, obviously, and then coached there the 1 year. And like I said, I think we ended up 7-4, 8-4, and won the first bowl game, whatever. But it's a hard job, and I can't put my finger on it. I never understood it when I was looking at it from afar. Because when I was at Virginia Tech, coming from Blacksburg to Somerville, I went right around the loop around there and saw the stadium and the turnoffs. And every time I think, why can't they win? And I mean that's a hard job. And the year I was there, we had a pretty good year, and like I said, won a bowl game. But it's just I don't know what it is. It's just been a tough job.
It's a lot like East Carolina basketball. We're based in Eastern North Carolina. Though, I can always people ask stuff last, why can't East Carolina be successful in basketball? First of all, I think we can. But the one reason I've always pointed to is because of ACC basketball. We have to compete with Carolina, Duke, et cetera. And again, I look at South Carolina. And yes, they have to compete with Clemson and they have to compete with Georgia, but they don't have a competitive disadvantage. They're in the SEC, so who knows why it is. I think eventually it becomes mental. I think it sometimes losing breeds losing.
Well, it does. It does. But these guys there's guys coming from all over the country now to these schools.
Yeah, true.
And they're going because they are, if they have a chance to play for a contender to play in the national championship game, which, there's probably, 8 schools that pretty much every year might have a legit shot. Maybe a couple more, I don't know. But, when you talk about guys coming to Clemson and, they've been on in the dance a bunch of times, and you can say what you want. Sometimes that recruits, itself there. And South Carolina, if they just get the snowball rolling and not let the ice melt and just let it roll, it may be a slow roll, but they can support a great football program. I think.
Bubba, have you got anything for Coach Bustle?
Yeah, Coach Bustle, you're talking about the tremendous experience that Shane has in terms of coaching a variety of positions.
Right.
That's one of the things that Coach Tanner, as well as Shane himself, really pointed to as being one of his strengths. And then also having worked under so many tremendous head coaches, in addition to being the son of one of the best to ever do it, having worked for George O'Leary, Philip Fulmer as GAs, and then Sly Croom, Mississippi State, Coach Spurrier, Kirby Smart, and then he left his comfort zone, so to speak, close to his family there in Athens, and chose to go out and expand his knowledge of Lincoln Riley's offense in the last, 3 seasons now. So just talk about that from someone who's been a head coach and just having so many experiences like that.
The biggest thing for Shane, and I know he's done this, and I did it. I think maybe every head coach, especially guys that you work for different people. You like certain things that certain coaches do, and there's some you don't like. And I'm sure that there were things that he didn't like that his dad did at Virginia Tech, but that don't matter. You're still a soldier. You do what you're supposed to do. But you go around to these different coaches and you pick things that you like. You don't forget them. You write them down. You put them in your list of things that coaches do and so forth. And you try to come up, when it's your time, the mixture of what you have seen be successful, but at the same time, don't forget your list of things that maybe didn't work. So you look out there, and Shane's, he's got a little piece of probably every one of them coaches he worked for. And I was the same way. And sometimes they were just maybe a coordinator. You absorb those things, and because at some point you want to have to come up with your own philosophy and what you believe in to get a job like South Carolina.
Coach, one of the things that I'd heard, I know the guys, I think Bubba had mentioned, is that the Urban Meyer, there was interest in him to go to Columbia. But I think personally, Shane Beamer, being this his first head coaching job, is perfect, because if he can turn it, then the trajectory of the program being going up. I don't know that the thing that I worry about with Urban Meyer is, after a couple of years, does he get bored? Is his health, and then he's gone, and then you got to turn around and hire another coach. I know people could say, well, if he turns it around in a couple of years, but in other words, I think Shane Beamer is perfect because he's younger, and he has a chance that if he does something special there, that could be the next best thing versus a guy that's going to be there for 2 or 3 years and then he's gone.
There's no question in my mind, if Shane can get it turned around and get it heading back the direction that it needs to go and builds his program, it'll be hard for him to leave that football program. Shane, I don't think Shane's done his traveling. He's done his whatever you want, learning from all these coaches and all these places he's been to, and he's closer to home now than he's ever been. And I think if he gets it going the right way, he's not going to go anywhere. I believe that. I think a guy like Urban Meyer, why do you leave Florida? Why do you leave Notre Dame? Why do you leave? That's a different. They're not even two of the same people, in my opinion. Shane's going to dig his heels in right there, and he's going to give it a great shot, and I hope he can get it done.
Yeah, I think Coach Meyer has a short attention span or something.
Yeah.
Coach Bustle, if you had Shane on the phone right now, and you could probably get him on the phone, and he's a coach, give me two pieces of advice. One thing I should do, one thing I shouldn't do as a new head coach. What would those two things be?
Well, first of all, you can't please everybody, and that's probably with anything. And as far as the players go, I would never let a coach kick one off the field. And the reason why I say that, if they things happen on the field, and all of a sudden you got an All-American that him and a D-line coach got into it, and he's kicked him off the field. Because I know Shane, and if a guy ever walks off that football field, he won't be back. And I did the same thing, and I learned that through some coaches and so forth. But I would, if the coach gets that upset with a player, you make him come see the head coach. And if he's a real good player, you ain't gonna lose him. Because that'll happen. I mean, it happens in high school ball, NFL. A great player just walks off the football field because him and the coach got into it and all that kind of stuff. And I can tell you from experience, I saved 2 NFL players at Louisiana Lafayette because the coach had to send them to me. And I would tell his assistant coaches, y'all don't run anybody off the field. You don't be fussing and cussing and say, get out, get out. You don't say that because they will. They will. And just if a guy's going to be gone, make him go under what you believe is right and wrong if he still wants to do it. But I had 2 guys that would have been off the field and probably wouldn't have been played in the NFL, but they had to come to me first. And by the time I got through talking and selling cars to them and everything else, that they went back and apologized. But I've seen good players walk off. I had one leave a field, and he was an all-conference, 2-year all-conference player, and I would not let him back. I mean, parents can't, but that would be 2 things that you can't please everybody, and he's going to have more things to do, and I know he's going to have help at South Carolina doing a lot of the busy work stuff that he has to do at radio shows, talk shows, luncheons, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But don't get away from the football part of it.
Hey, now, Coach Bustle, I know, and Shane said as much in his introductory press conference that I heard, and just talking about what a resource he has in his father, and that he'll lean on him heavily, and that he'll be very involved in addition to, just spending time in Columbia and Charlotte with the 6 grandkids. But there's also been rumors about the possibility of, Bud Foster, legendary defensive coordinator, Virginia Tech, being involved. Could you see that being a possibility?
I haven't talked to Bud in a little while, but Bud, he's got a great life right now. I'm gonna tell you, every day, about twice a week, I'll see where he's taking pictures off his deck out there at the lake and all that stuff, and he's got his kids around there. I think I don't know where Bud is as far as the football part. I mean, I'm sure he misses it. I think if he were to come back and get back in, I would think it would be under some type of analyst type of deal, not to get tied up in recruiting. He might be able to name his own days he works. I don't know. He said, I can be here Sunday through Thursday, and I'm going back to Virginia for a couple of days, and I'll be back. But as far as full-time defensive coordinating and coaching and recruiting, I don't see that. That's just me. And knowing Bud, and we've stayed in touch over the years, but I haven't asked him about it, and I talked to him in a little while though. But I'm sure he misses it. Bud did a great job.
Coach Foster now?
What's that?
How old is Coach Foster now?
Golly, I don't know. I'd say he's upper 50s, 60s. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll have to. I'm sure Wikipedia can tell me, but I would think as long as he was at Virginia Tech, and I don't see him coming back as a defense coordinator either. But an analyst, for the right money, that might be pretty hard to turn down.
Right.
He's 61. That's Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, I would do something like that myself. I mean, I'm able to work with these kids at the high school, and a good football program and all that kind of stuff, and win a lot of games. So it kind of gives me my fix a little bit. But I don't have to teach school, and I don't have to stay there after practice either. So I get my little fix, but because I do miss it some. But analyst type of job, I've had a couple discussions the last year or so to a couple places about that, and we'll see.
Coach,
another friend of the podcast, another friend of the podcast here recently, Rick Minner, stepped back into the college coaching ranks to help out Southern Miss as an analyst this year with that coaching mess they had down there. So I guess it never gets out of your blood. No, it doesn't. And I guess my first year out was the toughest because I wasn't helping working with any kids or anything. I was trying to get a job here and there, and and it was hard. And but then when I started coaching these younger kids, now, and I've had those guys, and you don't get paid much money to help them coach, but it's enough to take care of my golf a little bit, and and all these coaches and principals want me to go over and substitute teach. And I'm like, hell no. I didn't like school the first time I went. I ain't going again. So, but they've tried to get me to do that to pay me some more money and all that stuff. But I do miss it. And actually, I enjoyed the recruiting part. A lot of people don't. And I enjoyed it. It was hard. It was real hard. But that was just something I always liked doing.
Coach, speaking of one thing before I forget, I was about to forget it. My old age is speaking of recruiting, National Signing Day. Bubba reminded me. What is it, Bubba? It's a week away. Oh, we're getting pretty daggone close.
It's a week from the day, December 15th.
Yeah. My question to you is, when you have Coach Muschamp gone now, which is a coaching change, and you have Beamer, how hard is that for Coach Beamer to come in? And basically, you're coming in with a week before signing day. That's got to be really hard for him.
That's really hard. It's hard enough, when you had the one-time signing date in February. That was hard enough to do, and to come in and have a week or two to try to, because I know you're trying to. I'm sure they've had verbals, and they've got guys committed, and those are the ones you try to save and.
Wow.
And you try to, and you're going to have to try to talk other guys that were maybe ready to make a decision to not make it. You're not asking them to commit to you. You're just saying, don't make the decision this first signing period. Give us a chance. So, it's tough. It would be real tough.
Yeah, and I wonder this year, in a way, I think maybe, and I haven't followed national recruiting outside of East Carolina all that much to see what the top kids are doing, but nobody's been able to go on visits. Everybody's been doing virtual visits, so I wonder how many kids are holding out for February, and kind of the kids that have committed to South Carolina at this point. Do you even bail because you can't go visit anywhere else? So it's a weird situation.
I would say that your top kids that South Carolina was on have visited some way, somehow before all this hit, as a sophomore, as a junior, or what have you. A guy that pops up. See, I think it hurts the high school kids all this we're going through because they're not being seen like they were a year ago. But I think they're probably their top guys, and even some of their not so top, but are close to the top. I'm sure, I would bet they've been on their campus and been around the old staff before. So I don't think they're calling on guys that have never been there, and maybe some out of state. But these guys, they travel a lot in the summer and the springs.
Yeah, sure enough.
Coach, as far as South Carolina, I wanted to ask you about expectations. We talked about how hard it is there. I was talking to Bubba. I hadn't had a chance to talk to Kyle, the working man. Glad to have you back working, my friend. It's a good thing. And as far as South Carolina is concerned, what's the reasonable expectations for me? I look at it as obviously you're going to be a bowl game, have a chance to win a bowl every single year. But the chances of after that, the chances of winning a SEC East championship, if you will, or division championship, it's going to be extremely difficult when you have Kentucky's of the world, you have you look in there and you've got Georgia and Florida are way better now.
Yeah.
What's some reasonable expectations? Obviously, one day you would love to win a national championship to compete for that, or even an SEC championship like Spurrier did. Bubba and I were talking about that earlier, which I know. But what if you were coaching right now and you're talking to Shane? What would you say? Hey, this right here is what you need to set the bar at right now, and then later on we can keep. Obviously, the number one goal is to win a national championship, but we know it's not going to be next year.
I think your goal, even for next year, because you have to start with some kind of goal, is you get to bowl games. You know, you got to get to some bowl games. You can't keep missing bowls.
Right.
You know, I mean, you start getting bowl. If you got 5 straight or 4 straight or 3 straight bowl games, your program maybe isn't as far as you'd like it, but it's still on a good path. And I think, I think that would be the measuring stick. You know, whether it's this year, everybody gets that first year of love, and all that stuff. But eventually, pretty soon, you got to start. We got to get it to a bowl. We got to be able to play in a bowl game and do it every year. And then somewhere in there, it's just like we did at Tech. I mean, we were playing in bowl games and, an Orange Bowl here or New Orleans Bowl here. Not New Orleans Bowl, but Sugar Bowl here. Then all of a sudden we hit one year, we're in a national championship. Then after that, we're back to Gator Bowl. And, but that's, I think, because, when's the last game South Carolina went, or year they went to a bowl game? Been a couple of years?
It has. I want to say, I'm trying to remember if it was 2017 or 2018. Obviously, last year I think they were 4-8, and this year they're 2-8.
I think the biggest thing is, when there's number one, we want to win the conference championship and play in the championship game. Living here in Athens, I don't know if it was a year ago, this year, whatever. When they lost, there's like nothing else to play for. And I don't think you want to set it where you get that. I think let's get ourselves to a bowl game. Let's be a bowl eligible, and that's hopefully winning 6 or more, and hopefully we win 7 or something to get into a bowl game and do that on a consistent basis, because that still shows you are making some kind of progress. You're not letting it progress the other way.
Yeah, and when you're coming off of a 4-win and a 2-win season, 6-6 sounds pretty good.
Yeah, we want to be better than that, but you get bowl eligible here for a few years in a row, and your foundation is going to get stronger and stronger. It may not be as quick or as big a leaps as you'd like, but you're not letting it go. That's where I've seen South Carolina, a good year, bad year, good year, 2 good years, bad year, bad year. Keep it going where you're, playing in some kind of bowl. I don't care if it's a toilet bowl. Just go play in them, and then
we'll take that, Coach.
Huh?
We'll take that at East Carolina right now. 6 straight losing seasons.
Hey, look, let me tell you something. We're 3-6 right now. We won our last 2 games, including upsetting SMU, and
and the Tulsa game. Don't forget about the Tulsa game.
We should have won the Tulsa game, but technically we could have scheduled 3 more games because we're 3-6, and you can schedule games up to the 19th. And I was screaming. I was screaming at our AD. I was like, man, let's get to 6-6. Let's schedule 2 FCS games in UMass, and
there you go.
Let's get to 6-6 and try to go to a bowl. But unfortunately, we didn't do it. But we did it on a positive note, and 3-6, we can look and say, well, damn, if we'd have just had 3 more games, we'd have been bowl eligible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think for Shane, legitimately though, we know what their goals are. You know that they want to win the championship, they want to win the Eastern Championship or whatever it is. But let's build it. Build it.
No, absolutely, and I think Shane will be successful there. The one thing I would tell South Carolina fans is be patient. You just fired Muschamp. Spurrier kind of left on his own terms. But it was after a losing season. But be patient. Shane's not going to come in there next year and go 12-0. So,
well, I know those same fans have been told that a few times, but I really do believe if they'll just be patient with Shane, he'll get the right people around him, and they'll start getting the type of team that he wants in there. And it may take him a couple of years, but again, let's don't take a step back. Let's get in that bowl game and then start raising that bar just a little bit each year without losing sight of, if I don't reach it and I still went to a bowl game, we're okay. We just got to keep going.
And Coach,
I think that's big.
Yeah, Coach, I was going to say another thing is you want the very fact is you don't want to be that school that's like, yeah, you don't want to wait 10 years or something crazy, but at the same time, you don't want to be that school that, say, hypothetically give Shane 2 years and say gone, or and then there's another guy for a couple of years and another guy for a couple of years, because you'll never build a successful program. I mean, some people need to realize that we may live in a society that's like a microwave society, but the fact of the matter is, if you're going to build it the way that Shane can, and I believe will, it's going just the same thing with East Carolina, Mike Houston. They're fans that go, oh my God, 4-8 and 3-6, and they don't realize that when a program is so low, it's like the cliche of the foundation of a house, and then you build a program, just like that with a same thing you will with a house.
Well, and you're building a program in a high dollar neighborhood. Okay, you're not building for one of the other conferences somewhere that are smaller in the Sun Belt, or you're having to build that. You're in a high dollar neighborhood. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Coach, kind of not expanding, but to your point, as far as find a way to just steadily improve the program and make a bowl, make another bowl, et cetera, and just stacking solid season on top of solid season while progressing toward that goal of a division title and a conference championship. Taking a look at Coach Muschamp's tenure, his first 3 years, he went 6 wins, 9 wins, and then 7 wins and 3 straight bowls, but just really wasn't able to build on it from that point for whatever reason. But his first 3 seasons, that was his win total was even higher than in his first 3 seasons. Obviously, different situation. Just from the standpoint of
how many of those 3 bowls did they win?
Just one moment, I will.
Because that's the thing I was going to say. When you get to the bowl, you do need. You may not win the first one, okay, but you got to win, and because that gives you another step. That's another step.
His first year, they're coming off of 3-9, Coach Spurrier's final season. They went 6-7. They lost in the Birmingham Bowl. All right, year 2, they went 9-4. They won the Outback Bowl, and then year 3, they lost in the Belt Bowl and finished 7-6. They got. I was trying to see who. They got beat by Virginia 28-0 in the Belt Bowl.
Well, again, I'm just thinking like South Carolina, that if I get to that bowl, I'm probably not going to play another SEC team or a school as big, and I need to win those games. That's all what you're hoping that can happen. But I think that's part of your building. Like I said, you're not just building a program for another type conference, a smaller conference. You are building one in the SEC.
Well, Coach, we're going to be pulling hard for Shane. It may not be the second game of the season in Greenville when they come, but we think a lot of him personally. And if you get a chance to talk to him, tell him that we wish him all the best. And we appreciate your time always. And I hope that we can get you back on soon.
Oh, yeah, anytime you want. I always blab. I can blab with the best of them. Come on.
Hey, Coach Bustle, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Get on the phone with Shane and tell him to do everybody at East Carolina a favor. He's buddies with Ruffin McNeil. Tell him to get Ruffin down to Columbia and get him out of that Wolfpack red.
A different kind of red.
I'll do that. Okay, guys. Thank you. I enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Bye-bye. Okay, that's Coach Rickey Bustle. Appreciate him so much coming on tonight to talk about Shane Beamer taking the job in Columbia. That's going to be interesting, guys, and we'll have to see how that goes. Pirate basketball doing very well, 4-0. Very happy again, guys. Only the 4th time in school history. And I know, Bubba, the next matchup with UNF or North Florida is going to be Thursday afternoon. Kyle's favorite time. By the way, Kyle, Bubba and I decided that you're the one that came up with the idea for 5 p.m. So the rest of the year, every single game is going to be at 5 p.m. That's the Kyle Barber rule.
I don't think Bubba came up with that. It's stupid. No, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock tips. I should have asked Coach Julie about that tonight. Instead, I asked him about playing another non-conference game, and he did explain the ODU situation without saying ODU. He said we were going to play another game Sunday, and then decided not to because we would have had to travel on the road, and then turn around and travel Tuesday to leave for Dallas. And he thought that it wouldn't give us ample time to prepare for SMU. So that kind of makes sense. Traveling to Norfolk on Sunday and then getting home Sunday night, and then you have one day before you have to fly out to SMU on Tuesday. So that kind of I get that now. We're playing SMU on the 16th. What day is the 16th? Is that Thursday? Wednesday? What day is that?
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
So
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay, so that makes sense that we would be flying out Tuesday. But that was Dooley's answer. He said that we do have. He said we have a week in January and a week in February where we don't have a game in conference. So he said we will probably look to schedule a non-conference game one of those 2 weeks if somebody else is available. So we may get a non-conference game right in the middle of conference play, as of course 2020 things are weird.
No question about it. It's going to be one of those things that will be interesting. But the great thing, Kyle, is we have a chance to go 5-0. So we have a chance on Thursday afternoon, 5 p.m., 5-0. And then you have a chance, to, like Dooley's talking about, that gives you a handful of days to get ready. And then you leave on Tuesday. And then you play that game Wednesday. If somehow you could get those guys rested and prepared, your first conference game, somehow you could steal that game on the road. Oh my goodness. I mean, I know that's a tall order. Obviously, they're not going to overlook the UNF game, but man, oh man, if you could do that. The schedule is very kind to us. The few games after that, where those are games that are not like climbing Mount Everest, they're winnable games. It will take a lot to win them, but at the same time, it's not like it's where you can get blown out.
It's parity after SMU.
Right.
You get JMU, Tulane, and a struggling Wichita. So,
Lane twice in a short period of time.
It would be, hey, look, I'd love to upset SMU, but if we could somehow over these next 4 games go 3-1, and if that only loss was to SMU, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'd be fantastic. But first things up is North Florida. Let's get to 5-0 first.
That's no question about it. And that's going to be a situation where obviously you don't want to, you feel like you can win the game, but the Pirates have got to be consistent, play really good on both sides as far as the offensive.
North Florida is the Ospreys, right? They're the Ospreys?
Ospreys, yeah.
Okay, now I got a question for you guys. I'm assuming when I hear Osprey, I think of a Marine and Navy helicopter.
The helicopter, right?
Yeah. I'm assuming an Osprey really is a bird.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Or is their logo a helicopter?
I would assume it's a bird. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm having to learn about the program, and that's why we wanted to have Coach on to find out more about them.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, it's a bird. It would be cooler if they used the helicopter.
You think so?
A badass military helicopter? Yeah. Are you kidding me? There's a lot of those Ospreys were prone to crash at one point.
Yeah. They had a time there where they had to, like, literally not. They couldn't do anything. They had them down for a good while, for sure.
Yep.
Hey, Kyle.
Well, maybe these Ospreys will crash Thursday. After on the basketball court. Let me be clear.
Yeah. I was going to say, wow.
Be clear. I mean, on the basketball court.
Kyle Barber is a wanted man.
Not what I meant.
But no, guys, we talked about Will Hall's hiring at Southern Miss last week when we had Jamie Arrington on from To the Top Talk, in addition to Andrew Allegretta, Tulane's play-by-play voice. And then tonight we talked about Shane Beamer's hiring. You also have the ULM and South Alabama. Those 2 jobs have come open.
South Alabama. Wait. What happened to their head coach?
I guess they just parted ways due to record.
No way. That guy it was just his second. That was just his second or third year. He had a winning record there this year, didn't he?
Yeah, it was at least year 3.
What was their record, Bubba? They were playing good football at one point.
Yeah, let's see. Since Campbell was in his third year leading the program and is 9-26 overall. In his first 2 years, he went 3-9, 2-10, and they finished 4-7 this year.
Okay, well, they were in a lot of ball games.
Yeah, they were much more competitive this year.
Yeah, I don't know that I wouldn't have given him one more year. That's interesting.
Hey, remember they got it, and not that I disagree with you, but who knows from afar what should truly happen. But one thing to take into consideration, remember they opened that new stadium this year, so
Yeah.
there's even more pressure to win.
Yeah, but you're South Alabama. I mean, you have no tradition. You fired your previous head coach who took you to bowl games. Now you bring this guy in who was, I believe, a successful FCS head coach. I mean, I don't know what you expect. South Alabama can't start a football program and expect to go to a New Year's Six bowl right away. Oh, wait a minute. But I be serious. I mean, I don't know what they expect. Who are they going after? I mean, I guess based on record, you can understand understand the decision to fire him, but it surprises me a little. I'd be interested in who they're going to hire. And Monroe was god awful. I mean, so them firing their head coach doesn't surprise me at all. They were about as bad as anybody I've seen. Monroe's had a constant turnover there, though. Again, I don't blame them for making a change, but you know, what is the right fit at Monroe? But that guy, I believe, also was a successful FCS head coach before he went to Monroe.
Yeah, it's a hard place to win for sure. But another reason I wanted to bring up on the coaching changes, I referenced the Will Hall change, and I know we've already discussed that a lot. But the reason I bring it up again is because today I saw, and I sent this to you. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but his contract was released, and he's going to be making $800,000 a year. It appears, as opposed to what Jay Hobson was making $500,000, which was the lowest in Conference USA. And then his salary compensation, salary package for his staff, salary pool will be, I think, $2.1 million. He ranks third in Conference USA, according to what I read.
That's really good. I think Southern Miss hasn't been spending very much money the last few years, so they've kind of been saving. So I guess they've got some to spend now. Hopefully, Will Hall will put together a good staff and get Southern Miss where they should be, competing at the top of Conference USA. Now, Bubba, you've got me thinking about the ULM job and the South Alabama job, and I want to know who their candidates are. I'm a coaching search nerd in college football, so that intrigues me, and particularly that South Alabama job. I still think they pulled the trigger a year too soon. I'd have probably given him one more year.
Yeah, I've heard. I saw Bruce Feldman, as far as the USA job is concerned, saying that that job has already garnered a lot of interest just with the profile of the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah, the Sun Belt. Look, what they did this year. It looks like their TV deal. While our conference TV deal is worth a lot more money, they took a lot of the ESPNU spots that the American used to have that are now on ESPN Plus. That we took that for more money. So they're getting better exposure. The Sun Belt took a big step up this year. It'll be interesting to see who they hire. I think both those jobs. I think the USA job could potentially be a good job. Mobile's a nice city. It's a good recruiting area. They got a brand new football stadium, so it could garner some good candidates. Monroe has just been a nightmare. I don't know what you do there. Like I said, that guy was a successful FCS coach, if I'm not mistaken, before he went to Monroe. So I don't know what you do if you're Monroe. My answer would be probably do something unique, like maybe go hire a Tamia, a coach, coach, the Navy coach to
Ken Niumatalolo.
Thank you. hire his offensive coordinator, something
Kyle,
like that.
You should have gone like Mike Houston, Coach Nehemiah.
Because I know how to say it, I just couldn't think of his name, Coach Niumatalolo. But maybe they should go hire his offensive coordinator if you're Monroe. Do something unique because
Ivan Jasper.
Yeah, they haven't been able to win traditionally, running standard stuff. Maybe try running triple option.
Hey, another way they could consider, seeing what Buffalo and then also Eastern Michigan on the success they had of hiring a proven head coach from a lower level, a D2 or D3 coach that just wants to make that jump to Division One.
Yeah,
and specifically FBS.
Yeah, sure. Speaking of Buffalo, is somebody going to hire that guy? What the hell is Syracuse doing? How many games does he have to win? He had them in the top 25 last year, didn't he? If I'm Syracuse, I just hit on over to Buffalo and just say, hey, come on, get in the van. Good God. Syracuse football is dreadful. How annoying do you think it has to be for Syracuse to look over at Buffalo and see what they're doing?
And definitely a lot. And they have a tradition of football there going all the way back to Jim Brown. So
yeah,
they have a great tradition and a rich history. And another thing is, since they've gone to the ACC, man, I thought it would help them. I don't know what it's going to take, but anyway, there's a coaching carousel out there, guys, and we'll keep.
Dave, very quickly before we go to our interview with Matt Driscoll, the head coach from North Florida, finishing our conversation about the Buffalo Bulls. They're 4-0 this year, and in those 4 games they have scored 49, 42, 42, and 70. And then they unfortunately had a game against Ohio that was canceled, and they have 1 game remaining that is on Saturday against Akron at 2:30.
5-0 and wrap up the East.
And averaging well over 50 points a game.
Yeah, and they was either last year or the year before they spent part of the year in the top 25. Like I say, I'm happy for I'm happy for old sunny Buffalo there. If you ever gamble, you'll get that reference. But
sunny Buffalo and sunny Binghamton.
Exactly. But if Syracuse doesn't hire that dude from Buffalo, I don't know what to tell them. Good God. I think the answer to your problems is right there in the upstate of New York.
All right. Well, hopefully we don't have any problems winning on Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. Right, Bubba?
Yep. On Thursday at 5 o'clock, when Pirates are taking on the Ospreys, as we said, and North Florida comes to Minges. Earlier today, I had the opportunity to sit down with their 12th year head coach, Matt Driscoll. Talk about an Energizer bunny. This guy's a lot of fun to talk to. And I knew what to expect in a sense because I heard an interview that he had done with our buddy Jason Romano with the Sports Spectrum. And I knew he's a heck of a guy and a lot of fun to talk to. And let's go to that conversation with UNF head coach Matt Driscoll right now. East Carolina will be hosting the University of North Florida on Thursday at 5 p.m. inside Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum. And right now, very excited to be joined by the 12th year head coach of the Ospreys, Matthew Driscoll. Coach, welcome into the show.
Bubba, I'm really excited to be on with you. Obviously, anybody who's associated with Joe Dooley, to me, is a good human being because Joe's one of my favorites. Go all the way back to our Big 12 days at Kansas and Baylor when they used to whoop us. But the best thing is the last time we played, the Baylor Bears got the victory in the Big 12 tournament. Then I took the job here. So I walked away just shaking Joe's hand the last time with a dub. But the problem is the last time I shook his hand at Gulf Coast, he just beat us. So he's been an incredible friend. We've really bounced a lot of things off each other. And I think you guys will understand more and more as this year continues to move forward what he's all about. Because when he took over at Gulf Coast, he was not a builder. He was a sustainer. They hit that home run. They Sweet 16'd it. They were the darling of everybody, coach leaves, and now this guy's got to come in. Very, very difficult situation. He handled it with incredible discipline. He handled it with incredible the ability to compete and to make tough decisions, and obviously had great success. And now you guys are seeing it, and I would term it as you guys are starting to reap what you've sowed. And I know you have I think the second most productive team in the country coming back. I know Gardner is awesome. I know Newton is the darling, and everybody loves anybody that can score. And to me, Suggs is about as good a dude, master, jack of all, master of none. I love the way he competes. And you're physical, and you guys play at a high level. So exactly what you've asked Joe to do and bring to your program, you're seeing it come to full fruition right in front of your eyes.
Absolutely. Really excited to have Joe Dooley back in Greenville. The previous time he was at East Carolina in the 90s. That was during my middle school and high school years, and a lot of fond memories of Coach Dooley's time then. I'm so excited when he had the opportunity to come back, and anxiously awaiting to where the program's going, like you're saying. And absolutely, go ahead.
Can I tell you a quick story? My only time I've been to Greenville.
Please do.
I was a fifth grade teacher, and I was really, really good. And the reason was I had a lot of energy. I have a great passion for wanting to help people, and I was the best thief in the building. So all those 30, 40-year-old veteran teachers that had these beautiful lesson plans, I just take them, tweak them, energize them, and, man, it was like I was hitting home runs. When I got married in 94, one of my fifth graders, this is a crazy story now. When I got married in 94, one of my fifth graders sang at my wedding, and another one played the piano. A whole new world from Aladdin.
Wow.
That same person ended up being a cheerleader at East Carolina, marrying a cheerleader in East Carolina, and guess who he had in his wedding? Mr. Driscoll. So I came to East Carolina and was in a wedding of two of your former alums that were cheerleaders in the it had been in the early 2000s. I guess it would have been, I don't know, sometime in 2000 when I think I was at Baylor. So I guess mid 2000s. Whenever a 10-year-old be 25 for 15 years from 92. So like 07, maybe somewhere in there.
Okay.
And so that was my only time I've ever been to East Carolina.
Wow.
Crazy story, right?
Absolutely. Certainly was not expecting to hear that. But
Randy and Bree Velp. If anybody on listening knows them, Randy and Bree Velp.
Okay, that's going to be my next question, Coach. But you talk about your relationship. You talk about your time at Baylor and how you crossed paths with Joe Dooley there when he was on Bill Self's staff at Kansas for all those years. Just talk about your background in the business and give us the Cliff Notes version, because we want to dive into this matchup with the Pirates. But
I'm very unorthodox. I didn't come the way everybody else did. It's a crazy story, but I would tell you this: it was all of it was built on relationships. And if you don't embrace where your feet are planted and you're always trying to find the next job, you'll never be successful. But if you embrace where your feet are planted purposefully and treat others the way you want to be treated, then it's amazing how it all comes to full fruition. The best example would be when I was an assistant in 97 at Laramie, Wyoming. We took the Clemson job, and my athletic director was really, really upset with us. Really upset. We had a 10-year contract on the table. Coach Shyatt had to take the ACC job. And me as an assistant, it was the best thing for my family. He offered me a ton of money to be an assistant. He offered my wife a ton of money to be a cheerleading coach. I said, Coach, our athletic director was a football coach. I said, Coach, I can't do it. I got to go. I got to go. Of course, Joe worked for the same guy I'm talking about. And he was upset with me But I tell our guys, don't ever burn a bridge, but you might disappoint. But if you're truthful, then it doesn't matter. And of course, after time, how about this one? That same AD that was really upset with me in 97, he's the same, and actually he was 98 when we left. He's the same AD that hired me here in 09. So, again, as you go through this life, it's all about relationships. Getting to Baylor was all about, what do you call that when you run it? An acquaintance in a bar in Minnesota at the Final Four. And I don't drink. And we were actually having a coaching convention meeting at the basement of this bar. And that's how I met Coach Drew. I thought he was Bryce. I thought he was the one who made the shot. Yeah. That's how off I was. But then I go to Valparaiso because we just got fired. And then the Baylor scenario happens. We take over a murder. Everybody said it's professional suicide. But my heart and my Lord, Jesus Christ, said, no, this is the right thing to do. And that's what we did. Bada bing, bada boom. 5 years later, we're in the NCAA tournament, greatest turnaround in history. And then now they're the number one team in the country. So there's a lot of great stories to go along with my journey, but that's it in a nutshell.
Now, Coach, you're in your 12th season now in Jacksonville at UNF.
Crazy.
So just talk about the program that you guys have had the opportunity to build there. I know you've won 20-plus games 3 times in the last 6 seasons, and you've been the ASUN Coach of the Year and the ASUN for people who follow college basketball very closely. Liberty, 30 wins last year, tremendous program there with Coach McKay.
You there, Bubba?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Liberty, Lipscomb. The consistency, so to speak, of kind of what the league's looked like over the last several years. I'll give you a great nutshell. First 5 years, we averaged 212 made threes a year. The last 6 years, we've averaged 347. So we figured it out. We figured out what to do. We figured out how we can compete based on how our non-conference is going to look, and the fact that, we have to figure, winning doesn't matter who you beat. Winning builds confidence, and it's hard for us to get that confidence when you do what we have to do. And that's life. I mean, it's just the way it works. So 347 made threes a game, and now, everybody, the world's coming to an end because we're 0-6. Our best returning player, the only starter off last year's team, hasn't played the last 3. We've already played 3 ACCs. We just had our first home game last night against the Conference USA team. Everybody who plays University of North Florida, probably much like Liberty and Lipscomb, they can't wait to beat us because we've won so much and everybody talks about us. So those are the kind of things that these group of players who, how about this one? We only have one dude that's playing that's ever played more than that's not injured. Carter would be the other one. Here's a stat for you. We have 2 dudes on our 13-man roster that have played more than 1 year of Division I basketball. 2 guys. So these dudes are getting an awakening, and because of our tradition, because of our culture, because of our success, they're also getting a taste of, people, they want to beat you because you're wearing this name, which is kind of cool that we built it to this in 12 years. So it is what it is. We'll come in Thursday. We know what we're up against. We know the physicality. We know the size. We know the way Joe coaches and the way in which he commands and demands. We understand how great Gardner is. We understand how much you guys love Newton, and he can score that thing. And we understand, in my opinion, I love Suggs and what he does. And, Joe's got this thing where it needs to be. He's come in, he's set the tone, he's set the precedence, he's built it, and now you're older. I think you have the second greatest, most productive team in the country returning next to Texas. So when you're older, you win, just like we did the last 2 years. We finished 4th or better 7 straight years. So you talk about consistency. Well, how do you do that? When 4 years ago, back-to-back years, you were 4-23 in a non-conference against Division I opponents. So you got to continue like Joe's doing, helping these guys understand. And now you're 4-0. You got us coming in at 5 o'clock on Thursday. So you just continue to help these guys. So now, when they get to that next phase, which obviously is league play for you, now you're a different animal. Now your perspective's different. Now the way in which you walk, the way in which your chest, the way in which you think, because you've had some success, and you look back at, oh, that's what coach meant. Oh, that's what coach meant. Oh, that's what coach meant. Because nowadays, kids, when you tell them or you try to show them, it just doesn't equate until the reality of getting punched in the face and like, oh, so that's what that looks like, or that was what that means. So it is like, that's who we are. That's what we've built. And we've got another challenge ahead of us. Bubba, you can never, I don't like to use the word, but I am in this case. You can never, ever, ever be successful unless you have opportunity. And when you get it, like Lincoln says, I will be prepared, and perhaps my chance will come. You can never have success without opportunity. However, if your preparation isn't in line, then if those two, that's all you need. Preparation, opportunity, that's all you need to be successful in life. Preparation, opportunity, preparation, opportunity. Well, how can I get that up? Be prepared. Work. Because work gets you profit. Talk gives you poverty. It's the way it is.
Coach, you referenced Carter, and that being Carter Hendrickson, 17.3 points a game, a little over 5 rebounds per game, leads the team in 3-pointers made. So talk about what he's meant to your ball club this far in the season he's had up to this point.
Well, I think the biggest thing is he's learned that the bullseye's on his back. He was kind of in the aftermath. He was in a rearview mirror. They were more worried about those 4 seniors that we had that were amazing players and amazing human beings. Well, now he's the guy. So he's understood that. He's done a really good job coming into the season with that in his head and what that'll look like. And also, too, leading these dudes of inexperienced cats. Talented, but inexperienced. So Carter's done a really good job from a leadership standpoint. But when you're out and you're hurt, and now you're not traveling because of COVID, now he can't be in the locker room. He can't be on the bench. He can't do some of those things while we're on the road that these young people need or that he got when he was feeling that way, when he was a freshman, and he thought he should be playing more behind a guy that was averaging a double the way that's playing at Providence. But so he has that experience, that schema, and he's got to be able to articulate that to these guys so that the pictures are much better when it comes from him than it comes from a guy with 34 years experience or a staff with 130 years of experience.
Coach, you talk about guys on your roster having to grow up fast with the baptism by fire early on with this very challenging schedule. Junior Josh Endicott, and then also Dorian James, and they look like they've really stepped up thus far, and they've played some good basketball.
Well, when you look at Josh right now, he's our leading returning scorer from last year because Carter's not playing. And you talk about those guys were sitting there. Think about this. Those guys won 20-plus games last year and a championship. So they're sitting there watching those other guys saying to themselves, I should be out there. I should be out. Well, guess what? Now you're out there. So it's different because you're playing now 25 to 30 minutes. You're trying to lead these guys. Guys don't know what they're doing yet. Guys don't understand. We were doing really well coming out of boot camp. 2 weeks into 6 weeks of preseason practice in October, and then we lost 14 days to quarantine. And we regressed quickly. So then we come out of that, and then you start playing. Now you can't practice. So these guys, I've asked Josh, Dorian, besides Carter, obviously, Jose and EA, like, Like, you've got to do an incredible job, Ryan Burkhardt. Like, these guys don't understand. You've got to be that voice. And that's, Bubba, where Josh and Dorian, and I'm proud of, statistically, but you score 74 against High Point, you should win. You score 77 against FAU, you should win. So scoring's not the issue. We got to defend and rebound.
And you talk about playing the likes of, Miami, Florida State, NC State, and so you've seen tremendous LinkedIn athleticism, and you've kind of already referenced what Joe Dooley's ball club brings in that regard.
Yeah, and by the time we get to the league, it's pretty obvious we've never not seen anything, if that is grammatically correct. Length, pressing, which we can't simulate, quickness, big time shooters, big time low post guys, guys that play really physical and just bump you on everything you do, and yada, yada, yada. So what Joe brings to the table, yeah, Florida State is about as physical as anybody. Miami was physical. NC State was physical. Eastern Kentucky was physical. High Point was extremely efficient in attacking us. So, and then FAU last night, they had a lot of pieces they kept on throwing at us, so they kind of gave us a bulk. Like Florida State gave us a bulk. Like they were like fresh dude after fresh dude after fresh dude. We don't have Carter Hendrickson, but we got a chance with less than 8 to go to get a kick out 3 to cut it to 8. Now, the score doesn't indicate that. So we try to help our guys understand that. And with Joe's length and his ability to play multiple guys in multiple places and to be physical, to rebound the ball at a high level like his teams have always done, to play at the rim and to get to the free throw line, which we haven't done a very good job of. I mean, those are things we've seen. But Joe's like the next challenge, because not only does he understand who he has, he also has a great feel who we are, because he's coached against us for so long.
Coach, is this something moving forward? I know you may or may not be able to talk about this. Do you think you could see these two programs, be meeting fairly consistently during December moving forward?
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. They're just going to have to give us more money, hopefully. But I would love it, because again, it's a great prep for us. It's a great challenge to be on the road. And also too, you're playing against a team that you can't simulate some of that stuff. So yeah, I'd love for Joe to continue this. That would be awesome.
Coach, we really appreciate your time this morning. Appreciate your passion for the game and what you do. And we'd love to have you back on the show down the road.
Sounds great. Thank you, Bubba.
Thank you.
Wow, what a! I swear I thought that was Nate Ross, Bubba.
Yeah,
our good friend of the podcast.
I couldn't put my finger on it, Dave, but you hit the nail on the head there. He does sound a lot like Nate Ross, but hey, what did I tell you? Coach Matt Driscoll, and so he's certainly an Energizer bunny.
No question about it, and appreciate Coach coming on. And that's what we try to do on this podcast, on this show, is give you previews not only for football but for basketball and baseball. And this guy that I'm talking with right now, that's on the show with me, co-hosting, Bubba and I tell you what, I appreciate you, dude, very much. I try to say it as much as I can on the air. I try as well off. But that's a perfect example of, he went out, got the coach on who the Pirates are playing on Thursday afternoon, to give you a little taste of what it's going to be like at Williams Arena at Minges Coliseum Thursday afternoon, again, 5 p.m., and that's on ESPN Plus. So you're going to have to invest in ESPN Plus, certainly the ESPN platform, no doubt, and very happy to have that, as Bubba put it up on the screen. If you're listening, again, it'll be on Thursday afternoon, ESPN Plus, and our good friends, obviously, with Cy Seymour and Jeff Charles, the voice of the Pirates, and that is, of course, with Learfield IMG College and the Pirate Sports Radio Network. So you can listen to them. I'm sure it'll be 4:30 airtime on Thursday afternoon. It's going to be a great game. And, man, I'll tell you one thing. When I heard Coach Driscoll there, I thought, Bubba, man, that maybe you and I should suit up if we had eligibility. He was getting me all fired up here late in the evening when we're doing this show live, and both of us have been up a long time with our families. But thank you, Coach, very much. It should be a great matchup, and Pirates are going to have to. I'll tell you one thing: as energetic as that coach is, that team is going to come prepared, and they'll be ready to knock off the Pirates. And Pirates at 4-0, Bubba. If somehow you can win against the Ospreys, they're UNF. Then you're 5-0. Then you have a few days, like I talked about earlier in the show. You get the chance to prepare for SMU, but you don't overlook this team for sure.
No, you better not overlook North Florida. Yes, they're 0-6, but this is a program kind of very much like Radford that's used to winning.
Right.
So yes, they're struggling right now, but they've had an extremely challenging schedule playing the likes of
Right.
Miami, Florida State, and NC State. A lot of folks would struggle with those three teams. And so hopefully we will come out, with our hair on fire, much like we did against UNC Wilmington. Except this time we'll play well coming out of the locker room. You're going to have runs because basketball is a game of runs, but you got to find a way to put an end to it and not contribute to it the way we did. A lot of those were things that UNC Wilmington did, but we certainly threw gas on the fire with some of the turnovers we had, like Coach Dooley referenced in the post game as well as on his radio call-in show tonight. Way too many live ball turnovers that led to easy opportunities for the Seahawks.
No doubt about it. Appreciate Coach coming back. And I said, year 3, man, this is looking great. And we'll keep it up and do what we can. We're talking ECU hoops right now. And there's so many people, Bubba, we say it a lot, but so many people that are fantastic people behind the scenes. And we're glad that it's translating now, certainly on the hardwood and on the court. And, stranger things have happened in 2020. And we'll just keep our it sounds like coach speak, Bubba. We're going to take one game at a time, but we'll focus on the Osprey. And do you have a prediction, by the way? I don't even know. Have you heard the line?
I have not. I'll try to check that right quick. I'm not sure.
I was going to ask you that earlier this afternoon, and I just realized I forgot. So
a lot of times with basketball, they'll come out at the last minute since that game's not until Thursday.
Right.
Just one moment. Let's see. There is no line, at least not on the app that I have right now.
Okay.
My guess is with their struggles and with our success, I would guess that if we've been a 10 to 11 point favorite these last couple games for the most part, that we will probably be about a 14, 15 point favorite if not more. But hey, the way they can shoot the basketball, you never know. They made 15 threes, even though they lost 79-77 to FAU. FAU, I think, has been fairly solid in recent seasons, and 15 threes last night against FAU in Jacksonville for UNF. So we got to come out and use our length to our advantage and really defend that 3-point line and make them put the ball on the floor and scoring another way. And I really think that we'll do that. And you take a look at our defensive numbers thus far, we're just giving up about 62 points per game, and really doing a solid job defending the three. I don't recall the exact percentage opponents are shooting. I want to say the Pirates are shooting in the upper 30s and the opponents are in the upper 20s.
It's going to be crazy, man. Certainly crazy. And and again, it's a shame that we can't have fans right now, or like a few thousand or whatever that would go on Thursday afternoon. But we'll get through the season, and obviously we'll focus on, as long as we can see it on an app, on definitely a network, on certainly listen to it on the radio. Then hey, we'll take it. Certainly get a big win. Bubba, do you have anything before we go?
Yeah, as you see there, just join us after the game for
Okay,
overtime.
right.
We'll take a look back at the North Florida game. Hopefully, the Pirates will move to 5-0, and we'll have fun talking about another Pirate victory as we begin conference play the next time out against SMU on Wednesday the 16th.
All right, that'll be Thursday night. So probably I would say in the definitely at least the 8 o'clock hour, because we'll have the post game comments from coach and all that. We'll have all that too. Certainly, that'll definitely be after the game on Thursday night. Bubba, buddy, appreciate you definitely again for lining up the guests, and certainly another great show. Appreciate Kyle from LaGrange Barber. Appreciate him very much. He had to go to bed because he's got to get up early. He's been recovering from COVID-19, and we appreciate Kyle very, very much. Bubba, hope you and Stacy feel better and get better, my friend. And until next time, you've been watching and listening to the unofficial podcast of the Pirates. That's the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.